that you can sign if they're carrying it.
Hey John, stop the acid sales now.
I don't know what's going on.
Bye, Dave.
Yeah, I said for real, this
We're just going to have a bit of music, make sure that there's going to be some petitions going around, make sure we find petition forms, and in a couple of minutes we'll just have 1 or 2 speeches. The march will... Can you do that? It's the same as the times are changing. New Zealand is not for sale. That wasn't very loud, let's try it again. New Zealand is not for sale. That's better. Gather around people wherever you roam. Let's all stand together, you're not on your own. I'm proud to be king, right down to the in sunshine or hail, New Zealand is not for sale. Very good. Bureaucrats and ministers throughout the land tell us no lies, we do understand. And if you... Yes, we're all united. We'll fight for what's right and then final hail. New Zealand is not for sale. New Zealand is small but unique on this earth. You can't count in dollars what it's actually worth. There's no going back, there'll be no reverse. So New Zealand is not for sale. I'll fight for what's right in sunshine or hail. New Zealand is not for sale. Grandchildren are the future and reap what we sow. Mistakes made now will surely grow. We'll be dead and buried, and if it's all gone, will they be calling us bastards? I will fight for what's right in sunshine or hail. New Zealand is not for sale. We'll do that last verse again. Grandchildren are the future and reap what we sow. Mistakes made now will surely grow. We'll be dead and buried, and if it's all gone, will they be calling us bastards? I will fight for what's right in sunshine or hail. New Zealand is not for sale. Oh, New Zealand is not.
Whoever owns our assets owns the country. And that's the bare fact of it. So we do not sell our assets to anyone. Now I'm in my 80s and I can remember the Great Depression when there was no social welfare, no social security, and there were thousands begging for food in this country. And I remember the Second World War. And I remember the first Labour government, when they came in, when there was a huge depression, said, we'll fix this, we will create work. And that government right up, and the governments right through to the 70s, created the country we have today. They built our hospitals, our roads, our bridges, our hydro dams, our schools, the whole lot was built in that time from the taxes raised at that time, and these assets are not for sale. They were built by the taxes and on the back of those people, and they're not for sale. The situation is that John Key has said that no one will have more than 10% of any asset, of any of these shares. Take three companies, A, B and C. They each get 10% of the share, and they're all interlocked. They've all got shares in each other. They've all got their own directors and their head offices in Beijing. And that's what will happen to this country if we start to let the assets go offshore. We've seen it with the Crayford Farms at the moment. The Crayford Farms were sold to the Chinese, and now the Chinese are big shareholders in Fonterra. And these are the sort of things that ought not to happen. John Key was brought up in the State House. He got a state education. He went to work for Merrill Lynch in America, the biggest crooks you could ever get. He made 15 million in every dirt in his hands. That's a fact. And you look at some of the other, look at the fella at the present time who's trying to sell our assets, John Banks. He's lost his memory. He can't remember ever getting £50,000 from old.com, and he can't remember being in his helicopter, and he can't remember dining with him, and yet we're leaving him to run the country, and he's got lost a memory. This is the danger we have. And you know, this whole asset sale is not about New Zealand, it's about feathering the nests of those who've already got plenty. They're selling off our country. Ladies and gentlemen, don't let it happen. Sign the petition. We need thousands to sign it to send a clear message. But let me tell you, one of the problems we've got are the people who did not vote at the last election. We have a democracy. We fought for that democracy, and yet nearly half the country didn't bother to vote. And they'll go whinging now when the price of electricity goes through the roof. Thank you very much. Sign the petition.
And can we also say over on the table we've got spare copies of the petition to take away. Not only sign it yourself, just take it down your street and ask your neighbours to sign it too. And next speaker is going to be Anna Hofstadler, who's the convener of the local CTU.
Thank you. Kiwi mums and dads have been locked out of their jobs by AFCO. Grab a sausage and help those locked out workers. Workers who just want to go back to their jobs so they can keep food on their tables. The government has said it has a mandate to sell what is asked to investors, not Kiwi mums and dads. You are, or you know Kiwi mums and dads that are certainly not investors. Gavin Bennett stole $23 million, he was an investor. South Canterbury Finance, amongst other investors, cost New Zealanders nearly $2 billion, which our government paid to bail out investors. Now they want to sell the legacy of those Kiwis who built these assets for us, these things that we own, to investors. Investors won't have to care that Kiwi kids have cold showers because the electricity price is so high. Their Kiwi mums and dads can't afford to keep the water heaters on. New Zealanders supposedly own them, and this is already happening. How much worse will it be if we don't own them at all? You here today represent far more than could or would be here, tens of thousands more. 90% of New Zealanders oppose asset sales according to some polls. We need a referendum now. Sign the petition. The national government has said it has a mandate to sell and implies we had a choice to vote against them. But clearly the National Party are not representing most New Zealanders on this issue. They are selling off to the highest or best connected bid our inheritance, something our Kiwi mums and dads or grandparents left to us. The National Party wants to sell your inheritance. Sign this petition. Get your Kiwi mum and dad to sign this petition. Let's not sell our inheritance. The people of Bolivia had their inheritance sold by their government. In this case, it was their water system rather than their power system. Within 2 months, most of the people of Bolivia could not afford water. The people revolted, women threw rocks at Riot Place, and the people won. Here in New Zealand, we enjoy the privilege of being able to call for a referendum rather than riot in the streets. I'm Anna Hofstadler, CTU representative. We, Labour, the Greens and Grey Power urge you to join me in signing this petition and making New Zealand's voice heard. Thank you so much.
Okay, our next speaker is, or our next co-speakers are going to be Jan Logie, Green MP, and Dave Kennedy of the local Green Party. Jan and Dave.
I'm Jan Logie, Green Party MP. I'm a Southland girl, so it's really nice to be home since I live out of Wellington now. And it's great to see this warm Southland feeling on a cold day. I know, you know, particularly for some of us, it's tough to get out here in the cold, but it's how important this issue is that it's worth getting out here. So, yes. And I'm basically here to pass on a message from the Green Party, and that's a message to John Key and Peter Dunn, whose vote this hinges on, and it's we want to keep our assets. Our assets are ours, and we need to keep them. You know, these companies are well run and they employ thousands of us. It doesn't make sense to sell them. And we own 100% of these companies at the moment. And they're required by law to act in a socially responsible way. And we already know by the price of our power bills that that's kind of tenuous at the moment. I think we could challenge them a bit harder on that social responsibility, to be honest. But if we're selling out up to 50% of those assets, there's no way we can ensure or push them to be socially responsible. Because when we sell off even 1% of those companies, their primary responsibility will be to return a profit. And that profit is going to be on our backs. Our assets off our backs. So that we've got to keep these assets. And, you know, we saw what happened in the 90s when we sold off Telecom and we sold off Transrail. They were run down and we lost the ability to control them. And we lost the good functioning services because actually the overseas investors' interest was in profit. It wasn't in maintenance and it wasn't in our needs. So we need to keep them 100% New Zealand owned to ensure we have good services. And when it comes to our heating and our light, they're fundamentally important things. They're things that secure our health and the well-being of people in New Zealand. If we can't control our health, then what do we control? So again, the message from the Green Party is, John Key, these assets are ours.
It's cold, but my speech is short. Don't be fooled by this government. The mixed ownership model just means less of our ownership. We will be losing sovereignty over our power supply. We'll be losing control of the infrastructure that generations of New Zealanders pay taxes to build. These assets are not nationals to sell. We will not allow overseas interests to bleed us dry like they did with our railways, and like they've done with their banks. We will stop the stupidity, we will sign this petition, we will have a referendum, and we will win.
Song, and then the concluding speaker is actually myself on behalf of the Labour Party, because this has been an initiative undertaken by a coalition of Greypair, CTU, Labour and the Greens, and lots of other community organisations. So what we're saying today is we have the voice of the people behind us today. So Dave.
Thank you. As some of us are getting a bit older, some of us are older than others, I'd like to dedicate this song to Greypair. It's called Hung Out to Dry. It's a song I wrote a few weeks ago thinking about New Zealand and what's actually been happening. And it goes something like this. I've been out of work for so long now, things ain't looking bright. I've applied for all vacancies and the doors are shut tight. I even offered to work for free to see how I might go, thinking I was doing good, but the union said oh no. Hung out to dry, my mother, hung out to dry. The directors, they flew the coop, Aussie they were bound. Our dreams flushed down the toilets and the money was never found. Hung out to dry, my mother, hung out to dry, my friend. Hung out, I'm hung out to dry. Oh, hung out to dry, my mother, hung out to dry, my friend. Hung out to dry. Thank you very much. see your faces sometime.
Thank you very much, Dave. Now, I've just noticed in the crowd that we've got our CTU convener from Otago here, so I'm going to ask Alexander to come up and deliver us a message. I gather that we have inspired the Dunedin people to organise a march just like ours.
Greetings everybody, I bring you best wishes from the neighbours just up the road. CTU Union's Otago. As Leslie says, we were out busy today. We were going to be having a protest and a collection for the AFCO workers. And we got into a bit of trouble because we were protesting outside McDonald's. And people didn't like us doing that. That's because the chain of suppliers that McDonald's can choose when they purchase their meat and so forth. But anyway, the reason why I'm here is that we are all in this together. This issue about selling our assets is so important to each and every one of us. And it'll be great, and I think it's fantastic that you guys are the first ones off the blocks, down here in Invercargill. I hope this spreads through the country and we'll see lots more of this, because this is what the current government need to see, that people cannot given a mandate for them to sell our assets just because they've been voted in as the government. So we really do need to get more than 300,000 signatures to ensure that we do have a real say in this matter. And so, hopefully we can all find at least 15 friends with about as many signatures as you need on that petition, your neighbours or somebody else, schools, all sorts of places, and get those people signed up, because it's really important that we stop this. In my day job, I work for the Nurses Union, and we are really concerned about some of the stuff other speakers have said around, if we sell our power companies, that's going to mean people can't pay for their power. It's already an issue that people who don't have power to keep warm are getting sick. Their homes are cold, and we can't afford to see any New Zealanders become unwell due to the loss of our assets. So keep going, Invercargill people. You've got the support of us up next door in Otago. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. And back to you.
Thank you, Glenda. Well, people, I'm Leslie Soap, the Labour Party. This land is our land. These highly profitable assets that bring us in millions of dollars every single year are our assets. They are not yours to sell, Mr. Key and Mr. English and Mr. Peter Dunn. You have no mandate to sell our state assets. We are here today to give that very clear message. There are choices that you make in politics. We want to see a government that makes a choice to do something constructive about our economy, not go for the quick fix sugar rush of selling the state assets. Mr. English, our finance manager, tells us he can only guess at the price the state assets might bring. Do we want an economy run by guesswork? No, we do not. Has New Zealand tried the selling state assets route before? Did it work? Did we end up buying back state assets? Okay, there are parties in government, and my party is one, that know we have been down that route and it failed. We are never going down that route again. And the message to Mr. Key, Mr. English, Mr. Roy, every other politician who intends to sell state assets is keep your hands off them. They are ours. You do not have the right to sell the future of this country. Let me just give you one illustration, because it means quite a bit to people in the South. Contact Energy. In 1999, the national government at the time, remember Max Bradford, your power prices will go down, National Party Minister, sold contact energy. 40% of it was sold to a US company called Edison. 60% of it was so-called reserved for New Zealanders. Just like they're saying they're going to keep 51% New Zealand owned this time. Within 6 months of that sale, 35,000 guest shareholders held shares in Contact Energy. Does anybody know how much of Contact Energy is now New Zealand owned? 16.5%. And that's from the government's own records. That's how quickly a so-called protection on New Zealand ownership and control disappears. Now I'm here to tell you also that I've read this so-called mixed ownership model bill. It's got no real protections in it about retaining that 51% New Zealand ownership and control. They can create non-voting shares that take dividends as many as you like.